plant roots that have scars on them or might be bruised, that makes it even easier for the fungus to enter the plant root system. Okay? So we can see the fungus in two, all right? In three, this is where we can see the damage that the fungus has done. But we need to appreciate when the fungus attacks the plant roots. That process can take up to 2 months before it really reaches up to the xylem tissue. But that same process that has taken about 2 months, when it reaches the mature xylem, and when we talk about xylem, we talk about the vascular system of the plant. We talk about, if you think about humans, we talk about veins. All right, so it is what transports the water up to the plants. But by the time it reaches the mature xylem vessels in the banana plant, what you find happen is that within 2 to 3 days, it can move about 50 centimeters because it has reached mature xylem vessels that are flowing. And within 2 to 3 days, like I said, it can move about 50 centimeters. Now, what happens to the plant, the banana plant? How the fungus works is that while it is in the plant tissue, it releases toxic substances. The plant senses there's something foreign in it. When the plant senses there's something foreign in it, the plant itself tries to stop the fungus from going any further. But when it stops the fungus from going any further, that creates a problem because plant nutrients cannot move any further up the plant. What you have happening in the process is that the plant is starved of water. The plant needs water to transport its nutrients to the upper part of the plant, to the leaves to make a bunch. All right? What happens is that the plant actually dies in the process because water cannot be transmitted up the plant. Okay? So in 4 here, we can see what happens. The yellowing, it turns to red, then to brown. Okay? In 5, these are some of the stages, this is some of the symptoms that we're going to see. Or in 5 and 6, you can see that we'll see that as we go further, Like I said earlier, in 1917, actually in 1969, that fungus was reported in Asia. Okay? By 2014, it had moved to Africa. And in 2019, it was in Latin America. In Colombia, and then in 2021, it was in Peru. In January of this year, tropical race 4, we just call it TR4, was reported in Venezuela, neighboring Venezuela. So that is why the ministry has found it necessary that we carry out the sensitization. We've taken a proactive approach to try and prevent this fungus from reaching our shores. Okay? Now, I just want you to appreciate there are a lot of measures that those countries have. They have phytosanitary measures, they have they have machines, they can do x-rays, they have sniffer dogs, and all of those things. And imagine those countries of Asia. You have countries like India where that is. You have countries like Malaysia. Even in Africa, in Mozambique, where the fungus is a huge challenge. Okay? Latin America, they have a lot of border control measures, and it has been able to beat their system. Just think of small solution that is like a dot. The challenges that we have, and we don't have the kind of resources those people have. So we have a huge challenge, but it is not insurmountable. So in terms of the symptoms, there are 2 types of symptoms that we can recognize for tropical race 4. All right? So we look at the external symptoms. Here we can see the yellowing of the leaves. All right, this is one of the symptoms, the early stages. This is even at a more advanced stage. All right. What happens is that the leaves, they're no longer able to sustain themselves. What we call that, like a skirt of death. You see, these are some of the symptoms that we're going to see. Wilting. The plant starves of water, the plant is going to be bulging. All right? Eventually, it splits at the pseudostem. This is some of the symptoms that we're going to see if there is TR4. Okay? Now, let's just go back for a moment. These symptoms can be mistaken for nutrient deficiencies. So that is why if a farmer has a problem, we need to be able to go in the fields, take samples to substantiate what we believe it may be. Okay? That is absolutely necessary to say definitively that it is TR4, or who knows, it may not be. So sometimes it can be conflicting for somebody to make it like that doesn't really good. Here we can see the corm, the lower part of the plant, TR4 infection, early infection. We can see that these are internal symptoms. Okay, you can see the pseudostem, the yellowing, the browning at different stages. This is also some of the symptoms that we will see. All right, discoloration. This is at a more advanced stage, okay, of TR4. Now, clearly, when the xylem vessels cannot transmit water to the upper part of the plant, definitely the plant is going to be under pressure. The plant will be starved for nutrients that kills the plant. Okay, this is one of the advanced stages also of the pseudostem. We can see the corm at the bottom, the lower part of the banana plant. This is typical of TR4. Now, one of the things with TR4, you will see the symptoms. You can see symptoms through the leaves, the stem, through the roots. You can see those symptoms. But the banana bunch, if you cut across it, you're not going to see any of those symptoms. All right? So it is asymptomatic. All right? Unlike any diseases like MOCO. If you have MOCO, you will see the bunch, you will see symptoms in the bunch. But with TR4, there are no visible symptoms on the fruit. Now let's just talk about transmission. Transmission is how it can get from one place to the other. Okay, so this fungus can travel in soil. All right, it can travel in water. There are a number of things that travel. But one of the things I would like to highlight is when we talk about this fungus, it has the ability to live in the soil for over 20 to 40 years. And once it gets into the soil, it is extremely difficult to eradicate. Their challenges are enormous. So it's not something that you can say, hey, I have a pest, we have that problem in the soil, and we're going to be able to wipe out that problem. As long as it gets into your soil, this is the beginning of huge challenges for the farmer, for the agricultural community. Any questions so far? You mean I'm going that good? All right.